Well, hello there, and welcome back to the Google Essentials training. We completed Google Forms and built a form, soup to nuts, using also the go to page based on answer um, option. And now we're going to take a look at AutoCrat because very often we collect data in a Google form. It goes to a sheet. And what we would love to do is to be able to send everyone a personalized document or a confirmation email or even a certificate of attendance. So in this example, that's exactly what we will do. And I will teach you how to use the AutoCrat add-on extension, and I'll set you up with a template so that you don't have to have anything in advance. You can use the template, and then you can take time to think about how you might use it in your own environment. So let's go ahead and get started. You're going to want to, just so you know, if you haven't already, we have a handout here for forms, sheets, and AutoCrat. And on that handout are the steps that I'm going to go through. So we just went through forms. And now if you scroll down to the section on AutoCrat, we're going to complete this. I have a series of slides that I'm going to share, and I'm also going to demo, but you can work off of this sheet as well. I like to use the slides so you can see when you're watching the video or watching the training on your screen, but you can certainly follow along using the links that are in this handout or the ones that I post in the chat. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to hop back over and open up the presentation, merge from Sheets using AutoCrat. Merge from Google Sheets using AutoCrat. So we're going to start right here with, hold on, I want to do this. So we're going to start right here, and we're going to talk about the AutoCrat add-on. So if you are watching this webinar and you're really like, what is AutoCrat? What do you mean merge from sheets? So what AutoCrat allows you to do is it's a document merge tool. So it allows you to take a spreadsheet and take the data from that spreadsheet and merge it into documents or slides. And you can then share those as Google Docs or even PDFs. All right. So you collect the data into a spreadsheet. There's some cool options that come along with it. You can have it set up so that when somebody hits submit on a form, it generates, it triggers AutoCrat to run and sends them something. So I have it set up here that you can try it out. I'm going to put this link in the chat. So I'm going to copy this link address. I'm going to put it in the chat. And then I'm going to actually demo how it works too. So you have a couple of options here. You can do it right now on your own while you listen to me, or you can just watch. You don't have to actually do it. You can watch me do it. So it's up to you. If you're a hands-on learner and you got to be doing something, go ahead and click on the link in the chat or in the document where it says try it out, and then follow the on-screen instructions. So this is how it works. What happens is I've got a sign in here, and I used to demo this in my 1-hour workshops. I would have people sign in, and then when I started the workshop, I said, check your email, and they would see that they had a certificate of attendance in the email before I even started the workshop. So I'm going to go ahead and fill it out. And I'll select the session I'm attending, AutoCrat demonstration, and I'll put that I'm advanced and geeky. I always, and I mentioned this in the forms, whenever I collect data in a form, it's very rare that I don't add a final question like, is there anything else you'd like to share? Is there anything else I need to know? Do you have any questions? Inevitably, 50% of the respondents to my survey or my form will put something in there that's of value to me that wouldn't be there, information I wouldn't have received if I hadn't added that last open-ended response question. So that's just a little tip. So I'm going to hit submit. And if you have done this, you can see it says, thanks for joining me today. This is confirmation that I've received your response. Okay. It doesn't matter that says that. The bottom line is you're done with this form. You've signed in, right? But what I've done is I've automated the certificate process. So I don't have to remember like who came to my session. Are you filling it out on a piece of paper? Am I going to give it to my secretary later? Are they going to have to hand create 27 or 100 certificates of attendance? So this can be super powerful when you're doing certificates for students, teachers, etc. So now let's hop over to the email that I filled out. So I put in my email address. And when I filled out that form, AutoCrat generated an email to me with an attached certificate. And sometimes it takes just a minute for that to process in the spreadsheet, so it might not be here right away. So I'm going to refresh, and then we'll see that it's there. Okay, so I actually paused the video because I didn't see the message come in, and I realized I've used this same spreadsheet in this same form over and over again. So I've thought maybe it went to my spam, and if you have filled this out, you need to check your spam too, and just mark it as not spam. So I'm going to go to my spam. So on the left-hand side, I click on spam, and there is the message right there. So I'm going to select the message, and I'm going to select that it's not spam. Okay, not spam. And it will leave the spam area, and then it will be in my inbox. Okay, so that's why I couldn't see it at first. I thought it was taking a minute to come, but because I've used this over and over again to demonstrate, it's now flagged as spam. So unspam it, right? Go to spam, unspam it. And if you're just following along, this is what happens. The recipient, and you guys will get these certificates from this workshop this way as well. I use AutoCrat for all of my training to send out confirmations and to also send out certificates of attendance. So here we have the resources. It says resources and certificate for the AutoCrat demonstration. So then I click on the email and it says, thank you for attending. You can find the resources here. Anything I've put in the email. And then the certificate puts whatever I put in for first name and last name in that form. And it says, this is all the information. This is my certificate. So it's done. What this has done is when you filled out, or I filled out the survey here, it went into the form, into the responses, but I also have added a sheet. So there's a spreadsheet that all the data goes into. And when it went into the spreadsheet automatically knew like, wow, there's a new entry here. I've been told to process this certificate. So I'm going to take the data. I'm going to make a certificate for Ali Molly, and I'm going to send it to that email address. Okay. Here's the other piece of it that's super important. As a result, I have a copy of every person's spreadsheet, every person's certificate or merged document in my spreadsheet. Okay. And I also have it in Google Drive in a folder that I've designated. So I've designated a folder to collect these certificates. So I have it in Google Drive, but I also have them linked in this spreadsheet. So you can see I've got Molly Alley AutoCrat. So this is what it's called. And if I were to hover over the link, it's going to show me that this is the certificate. If I click on it, it will open it. If I want to copy the link to send to somebody who emails me and says, I can't find my certificate, can you send me a copy? I can just copy that link, flash it back in an email, done. I've had people contact me years after doing training saying, I'm recertifying, I attended a workshop with you. Is there any way I can get a copy of that certificate? How great is it that I can reply within minutes, sometimes within a minute, with the link or the document that they're looking for? Very cool, very efficient, great for any time you need to merge data and send people individual customized documents with their personal information in it. So if I were to open up this document right now, it would open a PDF up that I could then download and attach to an email as well. I don't have to use the the link. Okay. So that's how that works. We're going to get into the folder and where the folders are in just a little bit. But this purpose of this demonstration is to give you some way to comprehend what we're working with. Okay. So do you have to use a form? No. If you have data in a spreadsheet right now, if you're thinking, wow, I have all the teachers' names and emails in a spreadsheet, what if I could create an email with a customized document for the first day of school? Wouldn't that be cool? All right. I'm just saying you can use it directly from the spreadsheet. So as we learn about AutoCrat, I want you to know that you don't need the form at all. If you've got a spreadsheet, that's all you need. It's just that very often we're collecting data through a form. It ends up in the spreadsheet, and that data is what we want to merge. But if you've already got a spreadsheet with data in it, no problem. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to close out of that demonstration spreadsheet. We may return to it later if you need more. I'll close out of the email. I'll close out of the sign in. Now that you know that it all started with this form and it went to a spreadsheet, and I'll bring us back to where we were, where we're introducing the AutoCrat add-on. Now I'm going to have you get the AutoCrat add-on added to your account, because you want to get that set up before we get started. So first thing I want you to do is, we've already done this. We've completed the form and you've read the message, and I went through the whole process. Okay. So if you missed that process, this is just redundant to try it now, where you sign in and you go through the steps. Okay. Hey, hang on just a second. Babysitting an extra dog today that I had to take care of. All right. So we've already gone through this step. And in summary, this form was automated to send on what's called form submit. So when the person submits the form, the data goes to the spreadsheet. AutoCrat is triggered in the spreadsheet. So AutoCrat is set up within the spreadsheet, processes the programmed email and certificate, names it, and organizes it in your Google Drive. So it's doing several things automatically by setting it up that way. So AutoCrat, what can you use it for? Think about it. So you can merge from sheets to slides. This is a slide that you see on my screen. I used to only be able to merge to docs, which limited your ability to make a cool looking certificate. But now you can create a certificate with a Google slide. And I got this certificate from the template gallery, slides.google.com. And I went into slides and I went into their template gallery and I found this and I just modified it with my own stuff. So if you're looking for a certificate, you can go to slides.google.com, look at the templates, grab a certificate, and use that as your base. So you don't have to start from scratch. All right. So I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. All right. Now I want you to pause for a minute and think about any questions you have. And I also would like you to ask me anything you want. So for those of you who are all set and you're just eager to move ahead, you can go ahead and you have all the resources at your disposal. You have the handout with the links, you have the slides. I also have on my screen here where you can type in bit.ly, type in the URLs and follow the directions. However, I want to pause for a moment and give people an opportunity to ask questions about what I've just showed you, and then what you don't understand or what you want to see again. Okay, so now that we're back, I'm going to walk you through how to try it as not a recipient of somebody else, but actually creating your own merge with data that we've got prepared for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a copy of two things, and you're going to create an AutoCrat training folder. So my tip number one for this is you need to create a folder. If you're going to merge certificates or anything with AutoCrat, make sure you create the folder first. Wherever you want all of those files, those merged files to be collected, create that folder before you get started it'll make the process a lot easier. So I'm asking you to make a copy of Merge to Slides and then the demo sheet and move them into an AutoCrat training folder. So I'm going to demonstrate that right now. Copy this link. So you click on the link. I'm actually going to put the link in the chat as well, so that if you need to, it's bit.ly/merge to slides. Okay. Now, when you click on that, it's a template. So I want you to click on use template. All right. And this is something you can use yourself, modify it, customize it to your heart's content. I put in a image signature. So I just drew a signature with a hello sign or DocuSign and inserted that. And I have my merge fields in here. So you have first and last here. I have this little line here. You can take out if you want to, but I'll just leave it in for the sake of not taking it out. So it says, congratulations, first, last. Now the trick is you manually need to put in your merge tags into your docs. Okay. So when you create a document, I put these merge tags. Merge tag means you're going to have those brackets. So you're going to look at your keyboard, and just to the right of the letter M, you're going to see the greater and less than sign, right? And you're going to hold down the shift key to create one. So if you were making a merge field like last, I'm going to demonstrate this. I'm going to take last out, and you would hold down the shift key and make two brackets and then last name, and then enclose them in two brackets. Okay. And in this case, it's first and last, not last name. So they all fit nicely there. Sometimes you have to run some tests to make sure that, everything's going to work. That you don't have that your text isn't too large, that it's just right. Sometimes there's a little tweaking to do there, because if I get Jacqueline Montambo, maybe that font's too big and Jacqueline Montambo will run into the second line, and I don't want that. So maybe I have to make a concession and change the font size to a smaller size because I've got some long names. Just saying. Okay. So you can see I have 3 merge fields on this slide. I have first, last, and date. And I put in my signature as to show you that you could just put it in a signature file in if you need a signature. And then you're ready to use this as your merged file. Okay. So now that you've created it, if you haven't already, you need to move it into a folder in Google Drive. Okay. So we have moved to a new folder called AutoCrat Training. Okay. So go up to the top where you can see employee certificate. Don't mind me. Because I'm demoing, I have to name everything that I'm demoing delete me, so that I remember to do a search in my Google Drive later and delete all these sample files. Otherwise, I don't know which ones are my real ones and which ones are my demo ones. That's a tip I have for you. If you're ever creating documents in Drive to show somebody something that you don't need, name it delete me, and then later you can search for delete me's and delete them, and they don't get confused with real things that are important to you. Okay, that's just a side tip. Now that you have that, you're going to click on the folder icon, which is in between the star up at the top and the cloud, and you're going to move it in your Google Drive to a new folder. So you want to select My Drive. So it says current location, My Drive. Select My Drive, create a new folder, and call it AutoCrat Training. I would not call it delete me AutoCrat Training. I would call it AutoCrat Training, because you're going to want to keep this folder as a demo to refer to later. And move it to that folder. Okay, step 1. Step 2, you're going to open the next demo. You're going to open a spreadsheet that I've created for you and move it to that folder as well. So I will put the link in the chat. It is if you're typing it in your browser, it's bit.ly demo sheet 24. Okay. And when you open up that link, it will bring you to a template of a spreadsheet. and you're going to make a copy. Now, if anyone has questions on how you create these templates and make a copy versions of your Google Docs or Sheets or slides, just let me know and I'll show you. Remind me at the end and I'll show you guys. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to add your, I put information in this spreadsheet, but you're going to want to add other information as well. Okay, so go ahead and add, I'm going to add Allison, Allie, Molly, that's my pseudonym, Allison at edtrekkers.com. So I want you to put your name and your email address and today's date. Okay. Once you do that, you're ready to install the AutoCrat add-on. Now I'm going to need to take this sheet, move it over to an account where it's not installed, and walk you through those steps. So just one second. I'm going to change this to anyone with the link can edit. I'm going to save it. Then I'm going to open it with something else just to show you how to add the AutoCrat extension. Okay. So up at the top of your screen, you have what's called extensions. And if you click on that, you have the opportunity to hover over add-ons. Okay. Extensions and add-ons are the same. I don't know why they don't do that, but they say these are extensions and add-ons are an extension. Okay. So hover over add-ons and then select get add-ons. Okay. And then you're going to search for AutoCrat because it may not show right up. So I'm going to type in AutoCrat. Now, if you don't have the ability to add it because your admin has prevented you from doing that, then you need to contact them and make that available for you. Okay. If today you cannot add the AutoCrat add-on, you can do what I just did and make the spreadsheet, okay, available to your Gmail account. Anyone with a link can edit, open it in your Gmail because your Gmail will not restrict you from adding AutoCrat, okay? If you're stymied right now, please watch. Don't go down that rabbit hole because you'll get more from watching and then later adding the AutoCrat on. We have time for this. You're going to be building something and having people test it out for you. Okay. So click on AutoCrat and then install it. Now, in this case, it says it's already installed. So if it's not, you would install it, but I would just go over extensions, add-ons, and then AutoCrat's down there. I would open it up. Okay. So sometimes it's tricky to show people how to add an add-on when you already have it, but the steps are over on the right. So you're going to go to extensions. If you don't already have AutoCrat on the list, you're going to go to add-ons and click on get add-ons. Once you find AutoCrat, you're going to install it, you're going to authorize it, and you're going to launch it. So you got to go through those steps to get that far. Okay. All right. Now, one thing I forgot to mention before, just to pause for a moment, everybody like hands off the keyboard for a second. Sorry. You want to make sure that with this spreadsheet that you also add it to the folder that you just created, and it should be right there, right available for you. Okay. So I forgot to mention that. Now I'm going to give you a minute to add your AutoCrat extension for those of you who can, and I'm going to pause. And if you're watching the video, go ahead and pause the video until you get the AutoCrat extension installed. And then I will walk you through the step-by-steps of actually, opening it and setting up a new job. Okay? All right, so now that we're back and we're ready to go, you've added another entry for yourself, okay? You can actually move this down below if you want, because you're going to have a number of things added here once you set up your AutoCrat. Okay, you're going to get like the email link and when, what if the job is started, et cetera, et cetera. So click on extensions, hover over AutoCrat, and select launch, and you'll be ready to launch AutoCrat and start setting up your job. Okay. Up on my screen now is just the view of installing AutoCrat. You go to extensions, hover over add-ons, get add-ons, search for AutoCrat, and install it. Once it's installed, you'll see it down on your extension list. So you have extensions, and then you go all the way down to the bottom and you'll see AutoCrat, and you'll be ready to start a new job. Okay, so we're going to set up our AutoCrat job right now. All right, so we're going to go to extensions. We're going to open AutoCrat, and we'll name it AutoCrat Demo, because then it'll be very clear that it's an AutoCrat demo, and then we'll click on next. So I'm going to hop over to my spreadsheet, and I'm going to click on new job, and I'm going to call it AutoCrat Demo. Okay, just AutoCrat Demo is fine. Then click on next. Step 2, choose the template. So remember, we made this template. Remember the template that you made a copy of? That's what it's asking you for. So you're going to hop over, you're going to go to step 2, and you click from Drive. From Drive. And it will search for templates, anything that has merge fields in it, and the most recent. So you can see I've got Delete Me, the one I just made. I click on Select. That's the one I want to use. There's other templates I've used below. I'm not using those. Now that you've got that selected, you can click on Next. Okay? So select from Drive, select the employee certificate that you created, that you made a copy of from me, and click on Next. When you get to this step 3, you're mapping the source data to the template. Okay? So I may or may not have put in my fields here. If this says first, but on my spreadsheet, the column says first name, I have to make sure they match. And sometimes AutoCrat will automatically sync them up, and other times they're blank. So the first thing I'm going to do is pick the tab from the spreadsheet where my source data is, because you may have a spreadsheet or a workbook that has several sheets in it. This one only has sheet 1. So that's pretty easy to do. You pick sheet 1, and it looks at sheet 1 and it says, okay, well, it's a spreadsheet, and this is in your document, you have first, last, and date. Those are your tags. Now, it didn't have any problem matching date to date, but it did have a problem matching first name to first and last name to last. So we're going to manually select that we want first to come from the first name column, and we want last to come from the last name column. Sometimes they're the same and sometimes they're different. It just depends on how you set them up, okay? So you always want to check in step 3, check the source data. In step 3, check the source data, make sure your mapping is there. If you don't set it up, it will say you don't have your mapping set up correctly. You need to address this. So go ahead and click on next, and we'll look at step 4. Step 4 is something you also have to pay attention to, because you get an opportunity now to name each document, okay? Now, if you were to send the certificate AutoCrat Demo class to somebody and you named it Certificate AutoCrat Demo, they're not going to care. However, if you're going to save each of those documents in a folder, do you want 27 Certificate AutoCrat Demo? Do you want 24 with the same file name? No, you do not. So you're going to use a field, your field, last name, as a unique identifier. And it's going to come from the field in the spreadsheet, the column. And there's an easy way to get it so that you don't end up with an error. Okay. So we're going to call it last name certificate demo, and we're going to make it a PDF because most people want the PDF because they have to upload it to the state, they have to send it to the secretary, and they don't have to convert it. They can share a PDF or they can download it and attach it. So I always send PDFs. Okay? So I'm going to hop over to the spreadsheet. I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to click on next after step 3. And in my file settings, remember I said you're going to have last name. Now, why am I going to put last name first? Why am I going to put it in my file name instead of certificate demo? Why am I going to put last name to be the first word in my file name? So that I can sort. I don't want them all to say what if I want to sort them by last name so I can find them alphabetically? So how do I do this? This blue bar with the little arrow on it, click on it, and all of your fields in your spreadsheet are there. Click on them and it will copy them to the clipboard. So you can use all of these fields and we will use them again, but we're just going to use last name. So click on last name and then click in the file name, and Control V is paste. Control V will paste it in. Okay. Control V. You can also right click and paste. Okay. Last name certificate demo. We created this as a Google Slides, but we're going to change it. When we merge it, we're going to create a PDF. Okay. So I'm going to give you a minute to do that, or less than a minute. And now we're ready to go on to the next step. So we just named it. We haven't designated where all these are going yet. We haven't gotten to that quite yet, but we will very shortly. In fact, we'll be doing that in step 5. So we click on next, and I want to put it in this folder that I've created, but you may not see anything here. So you click on choose folder. And we did just create a folder called AutoCrat Training. So you're going to just click on it and select it. Okay. It may by default have that folder there, but if not, you can search for it. Okay. The reason it's a great idea to create this folder right before you set up your job is because when you click on choose folder, it will bring to the top the most recent folders you've just created. So it's just really handy. Okay. All right, so now that you know where you're going to put all those documents, you can skip the next screen where it says add dynamic folder reference. I never go into this. There's so many Reddit posts about problems with this working, so just skip step 6. You don't need it. I've never used it. I've never missed it, okay? So then we're going to go on to step 7, which is set merge condition, okay? And what we're going to do is skip this because we don't care. We're not going to add a conditional value or anything like that. We're just going to skip this part. But we are going to do some work in step 8. Once you change in step 8, once you change share to yes, you're going to have several options. Okay. We'll keep it simple, but this is the area that you'll spend the most time in when you develop your own jobs. When you click on yes, you then have it says you're sharing it as a PDF. Yep. Will you allow those people to reshare? Of course. Is it going from a generic no reply address? No, it can go right from me. Do you want it to go from a generic no reply? You have the option. Only available for Google Apps accounts, not Gmail users, by the way. Okay, so in the to field, remember previously I showed you the blue bar. We can grab the email address And I always copy. I don't try to do these by hand. I don't type the tag in because inevitably you'll make a mistake. So that's the email. And then I can blind copy people. So if the secretary needs a copy of every single certificate so they can file it away for the professional development, administrative assistant, sorry, that can happen. You can blind copy, you can CC people, and you don't have to. In the subject line, you can also use your merge field. So what are our merge options? First, last, email, date. So not a lot. So I'm just going to write in your certificate is attached. If you want to add their first name in the subject line, you can. You can say first name, Susie, your certificate is attached. Okay. Dear Susie, dear first name, thank you for attending. Your certificate is attached. Sincerely, Allison. Type an email. Okay. You can add links. So if you want to send them to your website, you can, or, somewhere, but you can put in the link. You can, if you know HTML, you can use HTML to write this so that you get, real links, but let's keep it simple. Dear first name, thank you for attending. Next. Now, this is where earlier when you filled out the form and it generated the certificate and the email, do you want it to run when they hit submit, or do you want to run it yourself? If you want it to be automated, you just say yes. If you want it to run at the end of every day, you just say yes. So let's say that you set up a form for people to apply to attend your school. I'm just saying. And they fill it out and you just want it to run every night. You don't want it to run on trigger. You want it to run every night. You could do that. Okay. Or you could just say, when somebody submits an application to attend my academy, I want it to send them an email with the attached Google Doc that makes a nice little, summary of their application for confirmation, and send a copy of that application to admissions, the secretary, and the principal. There's so many ways and so many reasons you might want to use AutoCrat. You can also hire people like me to actually set it up for you. Okay. And then provide support so you don't have to do it yourself. All right. So AutoCrat, existing jobs, AutoCrat demo, blah, blah, blah. You've got it all done. All right. You've just walked through all the steps and now you're ready to test it out. And here's the nice thing. You can test it out, and you can even test out the merging of the certificate. So you're not going to send anything until you know it absolutely works. And please take this advice. Don't ever compromise because you're in a hurry, because that's when you'll have the mistake. And it's so much better to do it the next day than to send things out that are wrong to masses of people. Trust me, I've done it so many times. So I've very often not practiced what I preach. And then I'm like, why didn't I listen to myself? So please, if nothing else, remember this, make sure you practice this, make sure you run it until you're absolutely sure that it's perfect. Okay. So you're going to click on the preview, which is the little eyeball, then peek in and see how it looks. So it says, okay, you have 3 tags, but really you want to get to the bottom. It pretty much summarizes what you're doing, that it's not running on a trigger, that you're sending the email, but I have the option now to preview the first mergeable row. So I'm going to do that. And what's going to happen is you're going to see it set up the spreadsheet with all of the fields. You can see them starting to come up at the top. And then the links will be created in the spreadsheet. And then you'll be able to check an email to see that the email came out okay. So we're sending an email, so we need to check emails. And we also want to make sure the certificate looks right. So there's a link here. I'm going to click on it. It's going to open up and it's congratulations, Veronica Lodge, and I say, yay, this is exactly how I want it to look. So step one, check, my merge works. I'm delighted with it. Done. Okay. So I don't have to worry about how it's merging, right? What I could also do is I could check my email and I could check Drive. So I can go to my email. And what I want to know is, did it send the email? It said it did. Did the email read the way I wrote it? Is there anything weird there? Are there any misspellings? Let me see. So I go into my email. And I've got my AutoCrat preview. Veronica, your certificate is attached. How lovely is that? It's personalized. Open it up. Dear Veronica, thanks for attending. Your certificate is attached. How nice. And it's loading. So just give it a moment to load. Okay. Oh, so what I forgot and need to reiterate is that on the preview, you can check the certificate and you can check the email, but the certificate doesn't get attached to the email on the preview. So when you check your email, you're going to check that for content, right? Then you can check the certificate as we just did. And you can even go into Google Drive into the folder and see if it has been set up correctly. Okay, so you can see AutoCrat preview. That's the certificate. You have at this point confirmed that everything is working correctly, and now you're ready to run the AutoCrat. Okay. All right. So this is where you're going to get, because you put your email in, you're actually going to get the real thing. Okay. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start the job. So you just click on play, which is the play button here, and it will run the job. And it's going to run it for 2 entries unless you have more here. If you have a friend or somebody you want to add, go ahead and do that. I'm going to encourage you, when we get into the hands-on part, to pick somebody that you can confirm that they got it. And I can be that person. But you're going to want to just really make sure that you understand how to use AutoCrat. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to close out of the job, and you can see in your spreadsheet that you've got a link to the doc, a link to the named doc, which are both exactly the same. So you can see this one is called Lodge Certificate Demo, and this one is called Malika Certificate Demo. It tells you it was successfully merged, so you get confirmation that not only was it merged, but when it was merged. And you get to look in the folder to see, and I'm going to change it to list view so you can see that the reason I have you put the last name as the field for naming is you can now sort. And if you wanted to have these files, move to a different folder, you could, but there's no problem having everything in here. So you have your spreadsheet, you have your template, and you have all your certificates in here. How nice is that? Okay. So I'm going to close out of that. I'm going to close out of that. I'm going to go back to my email because I'm looking to see, did it come to myself as like, Allie, your certificate is attached? It did. And you can see that the certificate is now attached because it's not a preview. I actually ran the script as if I were one of those people, and my certificate is attached. And if I click on the link, it is my own certificate that is in my drive. Okay. It's also attached as a PDF, so I can very quickly download it. I want you to be thinking about how you can use this with students, parents, and staff, community members, board. I mean, it just goes on. There's just so many uses for AutoCrat. Use it all of the add-ons, extensions, and extras that come with working with Google Workspace. This is the number one that I use. All right. So now that you've walked through the steps, if you go back, you can refer to the handout. You can try it out again, and you can just go through the steps. Those are there for reference. And we're going to take a break now before we get into sheets tips. It's entirely different topic. So we want to spend the next 30 minutes working exclusively on you setting up your own AutoCrat merge, like soup to nuts. And I'm going to stand back and be here for assistance. So before you go into the sheets tips, I want you to practice creating your own AutoCrat, set up your own template for your own purpose, make it very simple for now, and just get comfortable with the process. And then when you actually need to use it, you'll be ready to rock. Thank you. And in the next video, we're going to look at Google Sheets Essentials, and we're going to start from the resource website where we have the Sheets Essentials slides, but also all of the information you need continues on in this Google Doc. So if you just go to the Google Doc, you'll be able to scroll down and follow the steps for Google Sheets. Set up a little bit differently with screenshots, but works the same way. All right, see you then.